They say money can't buy happiness. True. But try telling that to Jake when his manager just spent $50,000 on beanbags nobody uses, while Jake can't get approval for a $5 mouse. Jake worked at Stratacore Solutions LLC, a company that marketed itself as a global leader in innovative synergy, which basically meant nobody, including the CEO, could explain what the company actually did. Now, Jake wasn't new to corporate drama. He had survived Monday motivation emails, Friday fun activities, that were neither fun nor activities, and worst of all, yearly reviews, where his boss told him he needed to be more proactive. Jake had no idea what that meant, but apparently, it didn't involve getting a raise. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for the day, when his department budget meeting turned into a horror film about fixed and variable costs. The scene was set. A stale smell of burnt coffee floated through the air. The AC worked only in the corner where the boss sat, leaving everyone else sweating like they were in a sauna. The projector flickered like a dying tube light, showing Excel sheets that could put even the most caffeinated employee to sleep. Jake sat between two colleagues, Sarah, who looked like she was calculating how much of her life she had wasted in meetings, and Mike, who had already given up and was scrolling memes under the table. Their manager, Mr. Thompson, walked in with the proud swagger of a man who thought Excel pivot tables were rocket science. Team, Thompson announced, today, we need to discuss fixed versus variable costs, because this is the foundation of corporate financial strategy. Jake immediately knew this was going to be bad. Whenever Thompson said foundation, it meant 2 hours of jargon followed by absolutely nothing getting done. Thompson clicked to the first slide. It read, fixed costs. Costs that remain constant regardless of production. Like our office rent, Thompson beamed. Jake rolled his eyes. Yes, rent was fixed, but so were Thompson's bad jokes. The team started throwing in examples. Sarah, the lease of this office building. Mike, without looking up from his phone, the company's Netflix subscription, because apparently HR watches Friends to understand team dynamics. Jake, sir, does my salary count as fixed cost? The room went silent. Thompson gave him the kind of look managers give when you speak truth in a corporate setting. The shut up, or I'll remember this during appraisal look. Next slide. Variable costs. Costs that change with production. Thompson explained, for example, the electricity bill. If we produce more, the bill goes up. Simple. Jake whispered to Sarah, funny, the only thing that goes up in this office is my stress, and that's not reimbursed. Mike finally raised his hand. So, sir, if the company orders pizzas for every late-night meeting, that's a variable cost, right? Thompson nodded proudly. Yes, correct, Jake muttered, except it's variable for the finance team, but fixed for my waistline. Everyone chuckled, except Thompson. Managers never laugh at jokes that expose reality. The real problem began when Thompson said, we need to cut costs, which means reducing variable costs. The team looked horrified. Variable costs were the only things that made life tolerable. Coffee, variable. Friday donuts, variable. That one annual team outing where everyone pretended to like each other, variable. Jake raised a hand. Sir, why don't we cut fixed costs? Like the extra floor we rent where no one sits, except dust. Silence. Thompson frowned. Jake, fixed costs are, well, fixed. Jake leaned back, smirking. So basically, we cut things that actually keep employees alive, but will never touch the boss's parking spot. The team exploded with laughter. Even Sarah, who hadn't smiled since 2016, cracked a grin. The meeting ended in the most corporate way possible. With nothing decided, but Jake learned a valuable lesson that day. In corporate life, fixed costs are like your manager's ego. Immovable, untouchable, and completely useless to argue against. Variable costs, on the other hand, are like your work-life balance. The first thing sacrificed when the company is going through tough times. As the team filed out, Jake whispered to Sarah, you know what I realized? Corporate budgeting is just like dieting. Fixed costs are like your body weight. Stubborn variable costs are like snacks, easy to cut, but the only thing that keeps you sane. Sarah nodded. And the boss is like the gym trainer shouting advice, but never actually doing the workout. Lesson for survival. In the corporate jungle, always remember, fixed costs won't change, but if you depend too much on variable costs for happiness, prepare to watch them disappear faster than your boss during a crisis. Alright, story time is over. Let's break it down like a classroom session, but with less boredom and more sarcasm. Fixed costs are expenses that stay the same no matter how much you produce. Examples: office rent, salaries of permanent employees, insurance, equipment leases. Think of it like your Netflix subscription. Whether you watch one episode a month or binge 12 hours a day, you pay the same. Variable costs change depending on production. Examples: electricity usage, raw materials, overtime wages, printing costs. Think of it like food delivery charges. If you're lazy once a week, it's cheap. If you're lazy every night, it drains your bank account. Imagine a chart. Fixed costs are a straight horizontal line, like your boss's facial expression during your promotion request. Variable costs are a rising slope, like your stress levels during quarterly targets. Suppose you run a coffee cart. Rent of the cart, $500 month. That's fixed. Coffee beans, milk cups, depends on how many cups you sell. That's variable. If you sell 100 cups, your cost per cup is higher. If you sell 1,000 cups, your fixed cost spreads out and your profit per cup grows. That's why companies love scaling, because once fixed costs are covered, variable costs are easier to manage. Why does this matter in corporate life? Because whenever the company says, "We're cutting costs," guess which one they target? That's right, the variable ones. The coffee machine, the snacks, the free pens, and the stationery cupboard. Nobody ever says, "Let's cancel the CEO's golf club membership." And by the way, if you want more hacks to survive this circus called corporate life, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to Ctrl-Alt-Succeed. So remember, fixed costs are the unshakable expenses. The boring ones you can't do much about. Variable costs are the flexible ones. The ones that actually impact day-to-day survival. Smart employees, like Jake, understand this balance, not just in Excel sheets, but in real life. Because at the end of the day, corporate life is less about cutting costs and more about cutting nonsense. That's it for today's episode. If you laughed, learned, or at least realized your salary is probably someone else's fixed cost, smash that like button, share with your corporate survivors, and subscribe to Ctrl-Alt-Succeed, where we turn boring office jargon into funny survival hacks.